Tēnei ake te mihi ki a koutou katoa, I māte ki taki mai ki tēnei o tātou wāhanga, ko te wāhanga ko Mauri tū, Mauri ora. He wānanga mō te ahuatanga o tēnei kaupapa, te mate uruta, te whakamoho au, te mirumiru, wera ahuatanga katoa. I kōrero au ki te kuini o Ngāti Hine, nā, hei whakaputa mai ngā kōrero, e pāna ki te hauora e hinengaro, te oranga hinengaro, ko tai mai ia. Nō reira, me huri au ki te reo papa, me whakamohi au ki a koutou katoa. Kia ora, my name is Michael Naera, and I am the Advocacy and Alliance Specialist for the Mental Health Foundation of New Zealand. And COVID-19 has disrupted the whole of the nation, especially Māori up and down the country. And some of the questions we're asking is, how do we look at oranga hinengaro, oranga whānau, oranga tangata? How do we look at looking after our people during this stressful time? I'm joined tonight by Moe Milne, one of our kaumātua of the kaupapa. And I must I want to talk about the koutou kōrero, about Moe Milne. And when I met Moe back in, I think in the 90s, and this larger than life press thing comes in. And then she met me down in Te Arawa, alongside another famous person called Praere Huata, and many of those others in that realm, Arawa Pireka and Tutanakai Kineta, and Piopa Kingi. They all worked in that time, and this lady came in. And one thing I know, I think I was about 18, maybe 19, and new to the health scene. And then I looked at this lady and I went, wow, look at this lady. Bang, bang, bang. And the bang, bang, bang was to actually make us stand up, make us consider mental health. But she smiled at the same time, so that confused me. But I always remember her because she's a strong advocate in mental health. So I'd like to welcome, firstly, you here tonight, Moe. Nō reira, tēnei ake te mihi Ngāti Hine.
Tēnā koe, Michael, tēnā tātou katoa. Ka mutu, I roto I te oranga hinengaro, koe tērā ko te tīmatatanga, ko taku kōrero, tēnā koe, ka kitau, ko koe tēnā, ko hau tēnei, tēnā koe, we're in the same space. So, you know, the first thing about oranga, when we're talking about anything to do with oranga, is I see you, and kei konei au kia kite mai koe lia kau. Nō reira, tēnā koe, tēnā tō tātou whānau.
Wow, what a great start. What a great start to our kōrero tonight. You know, always been powerful. Straight off the mark there, Fire. I wanted to know... I wanted to know how you...
Hang on, let me though acknowledge those kaumātua. All of those kaumātua have had absolute special place in my heart. You know, Arawa and Tūtānekai and you know, like with Tūtānekai, so much so that I kind of almost broke all of Arawa tikanga to get to his tangi, but to get to, you know, different things. He would say, come on, you ngapuhi rangatira, you better just do that then. But, you know, the sort of love and respect that I have for the and pihopa, and again, you know, when pihopa, the hui o pihopa, everybody was waiting around, and then I said to Kyo, you take me. I don't want to wait for everybody. I want to go there, taku aroha ki tērā kaumātua. So, taku mihi nui ki tērā hunga I manaaki e ia tātou, te hunga mahi I roto I te hauora, but actually specifically in our mental health and addictions work. And they had the courage, because a lot of our kaumātua were at that time quite afraid of becoming involved in anything to do with mental health. And certainly with addictions, it was also, you know, he kaipia noiho. So I have to always acknowledge and of course with Eddie George now, every time I see him, it's such a pleasure to see him because of all the work that they have done. So me mihi au kia rātou ka tika.
Oh, ka pai. You know, just mentioning those names, mentioning those stories. I remember as a young buck coming through the mental health scene, you know, I was freaking out as well because I came from, you know, working, doing concerts, doing Māori concerts. And next minute I'm shoved into the mental health field and I'm going, wow, this is new. This is new.
Yes.
And I still remember some of the fundamentals of coming into mental health. And I remember Tūtanakai always saying that if you got to say something, make sure it's powerful and make sure people hear you.
Yes.
And I know you're one of those people
That's right.
too. Yeah. So how are you going in your bubble?
Actually, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And then, in fact, tonight, before I came here, we had one of our mokos just had his 9th birthday. So I had said, oh, no. And then I thought, oh, no, I got time to go down. So I ran down to my daughter's house. And then I said, hey, I think our bubble's about to burst. And that's just me and my kids and my mokos. And it's not even all of them, all in the one house. And there's more 10. I said, why, crikey, we better watch out. But we know that e kore ngā pī mana hara mai ki matawaia. So our you know, but it's all so the bubble thing is all an illusion. Pai kia no te kōrero mo te miru, because you know the bubbles are always going up. They're always regenerating, always making new colors and stuff like that. And so I kept thinking that sometimes we buy into everybody else's story about, because, you know, sometimes in the last about a week or 2 or 3 days, I've finally, for me personally, went, oh, I really wished I had other people to talk to, because we're just going round and round and round now. We're you know, with our whānau kōrero and our mokopuna kōrero, all that sort of thing is lovely. And it's actually lovely to have the time. Lovely to have the time just to sit. Lovely to, we're still getting up at blooming 5 o'clock in the morning though. That's a hoa. But having the time. So when somebody rings and they really just ringing to see, one, how I am, but I actually then hear, I also need to hear how they are. And so just being available. I think that that's one of the take in when we go back to full on work that I want to talk to. We just get gotten ourselves to be so busy that we, like when you and I are talking, we go pow, pow, pow for 5 minutes and we don't sit and think and take on board what we're actually saying to each other. And, you know, and our whānau who actually need support, our whānau who are out there trying to sort of figure out what the hell's going on in their own lives. And sometimes it's not necessarily a mental illness. It's not necessarily a mental health issue. The fact that they've been service users doesn't mean that every time anything happens that it's actually a grand mental health issue. Sometimes it's really, really okay just to be really pissed off about something or unsure. But we who are saying that we support people are not taking the time to do that. So for me, in our new oranga kind of environment, and we've got to go back to talking about oranga, and whānau ora is one of the tools that we're going to use to get there to oranga. Because oranga, you know, within 3 days, Michael, I walked out and I wrote a whole thing on my Facebook page about, oh, the sun was different, the light was different, everything. It was like I was in this, my bubble became this absolutely beautiful golden globe. And I went, so I didn't do it the first day. The second day when it happened, I went, oh my God, I have to tell everybody about this. I can see the sunshine. I can see, you know, all that sort of thing. That was the first day. The second day, because I live right in the bush, and I'm used to all our birds and all that. But the second day, the birds were actually very calm. They were still singing their sweet song, but they were very calm. It was just beautiful. And then, of course, because there was no traffic and I'm in the bush and on the dusty roads, And because there was no traffic, our trees started going back to green. You know, there were no dust on them and all that sort of thing. And in that time, it was time to actually reflect. And so for me, in my bubble, was time to reflect on when somebody, you know, I do all the training about this. I say every time you have a conversation with somebody else, me ata whakaro koe ki te koha o te kōrero homanga, he koha kōrero tira. Te iti tēnui. Me pēhea, tō whakarongo, me pēhea, tō titiro ki te tākoha mai o te tahi tangata i ona kupu, i ona kōrero. And so those sorts of things in my bubble have been really important. So when somebody rings me, I actually create the space because I now am okay to sit for more than 5 minutes to hear them. And sometimes it's really just, oh, fire, do you know where to get such and such from? You know, yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, that sort of thing. And that's been beautiful for me. But, yeah, me and my Tanya, we've been, I think we just celebrated 48 years of marriage. And this is the first time for I don't know how many years that we've been in the same bubble for this long.
Oh, that's awesome. 48 years. Jeez.
Yes.
Congratulations. And congratulations to your husband too.
He needs it more than me. Yeah. Yeah. But so those are some of the plus things. Yeah. It's been really, really lovely for me to do wānanga, for me to, you know, and so to wānanga with like one of my nephews, he was doing something, so he sends me all this, oh, can you help me do this? Can you help me? And actually the stuff he sent me was a karakia. I said, oh, hey, me tino, me, you know, did it all online. I said, me really, my friend, we need to talk. And the talking was, because he's doing looking at some old transcripts. I said, this transcript is he kōrero kaupare atu I te makutu. And I said, so you sent me a little bit because he couldn't understand what this was about. I said, you need to send me the rest of it and then we have a talk about the whole context. But oh, that's been wonderful for me, just to go to that kind of wānanga. And you know, I'm part of the wānanga for our taitamariki. So having the wānanga o ngā mea, tira momo mea, has been soul food for me. Ia ata, ka timata ngati rā ki te karakia, and anybody can join. And there's actually about 3 karakia pages, you know, from different groups. And you can just join in to the karakia every morning, if that's what you want to do. You can join in on some of the wānanga, other people's wānanga. Now, and I've been, because we're trying to organize one of our wānanga to be online. Now, so that's all right, that's fine, except that we've got a plan to have at least 1 or 2 face-to-face. I want to feel the heat of the person o te hā o te tangata. Yeah, because this is hard work when you do everything all by Zui.
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to, I know there's one kaupapa that I know that you're passionate about, and to our whānau that are watching, if you feel distressed about the kōrero, please ring contact 1737 and a trained counsellor will be there to support you. But I wanted to touch on Māori suicide prevention and your whakaro around that. And I wanted to know, you know, your thoughts on it, what we need to do as a country and where we should go.
I actually think, you know, and because, yeah, touches all of us, eh? I think that we've got an opportunity from now on to really, really be quite deliberate about working with whānau, empowering whānau, supporting whānau, teaching whānau, working with whānau, listen, you know, all that sort of thing, to ensure that whānau are safe places to be. That's the first thing. But actually that they're safe places because they know what to do. Now, there are a lot of our whānau who become themselves extremely distressed when a suicide happens. because there's so many unanswered questions. And I actually really believe that it's actually time we take it all back, so that what we're doing is, and it's not, what we're doing is saying to our whānau, you got this. You know, all the members of our whānau are really important. Doesn't matter whether they're haututu, whether they're all the beautiful children, all the beautiful people, they're actually part of a whakapapa. You know, this whole campaign has been about protect your whakapapa, protect your whakapapa. Actually, part of protecting our whakapapa is to keep each other alive as well, and to keep each other thriving, and to keep each other purposefully being part of this group of people who are called your whānau, because you're connected to them through whakapapa. And one of the things, you know, because it's all very well saying, oh, you can talk to me, you can do this, you can do that, and that's really important. But actually, at the end of the day, who's poor? Who do you cuddle up to when things are not going right, and figuratively as well as physically? You know, where is the place that you can go to that you feel you're so valued that that person, you know, you can fall apart of your life, but that person's going to hold you until you actually get it back together again. So I actually really believe that we have to be far more deliberate about how we take care of our whānau, so our whānau can take care of each other. Big kake for me, that, Michael.
Yeah, I know.
How to do that community. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you've been a stalwart in the kaupapa, and you're sitting on some pretty prominent national committees in there. But I wanted to come back to the community, because you touched on tangata whaiora. And tangata whaiora, those who have lived experience around mental health and distress. And I wanted to know if you have any kōrero around that, in terms of our kaupapa tonight around oranga.
We have to actually also be really, really clear, or be very careful ourselves, that we're not talking about tangata whaiora as if there's somebody else. Tangata whaiora are actually part of our whānau. You know, they're part of us. They're part of our whakapapa links, where, you know, all that sort of thing. And they have just had experiences that are different from ours, and they've got experiences that are, but also what we have to learn to do is value within our whānau everybody's experiences that are different. And when people have been have lost control for themselves and have become users of services, whilst that is happening, they're also gaining extra knowledge to contribute to the whānau. And so we got to start being really, really careful that we're not distancing our whānau who happen to be whaiora from our whānau as well. Because when we start doing that, we start actually saying, oh, well, they can't really contribute anything valuable into the whānau, when in actual fact, they can. Yeah.
I've heard your kōrero around, the same kōrero around rangatahi, you know, thinking of rangatahi as another group when they're actually part of our whānau.
And we'd love to separate them out. Don't separate them out. Because when we separate them out, what actually happens is they start learning and growing away from us. We're doing something away from them. And then all of a sudden we're going, oh my God, this is a problem child, because they've been doing something away from us. Whereas if we're still working together and recognizing we all got special parts to play, then we actually start reclaiming oranga mai te ao Māori. I think that's probably why. I think probably why, Michael. You see, we don't talk about kaumatua. We don't talk about whaiora who are now kaumatua. And I remember on one of mine and my son's trips, we went to a place, and I knew he might be tested, because it was a whare where it's where tangata whaiora was a respite care thing, residential. Anyway, we go there, and the whaiora did the mihis and all that sort of thing. And I saw him going, oh, okay. And I said, yeah, they're playing it. But you know what actually struck him? The kaumatua there who's been in service, and he's been in service for at least 25, 30 years as a service user, then did a kofo after his mihi, after his karakia, he did a mihi, and then he sort of did a bit of a kofo. And he said, if there's nothing else that we learn in this life, it is take care of the children. He ha te mea nui o te ao, he tamariki, he uri tangata, he whakapapa. Now, you know, and that's normally people wouldn't take any notice of those guys because they've been in mental health services for a long time. We forget wisdom. So, you know, as this coronavirus is, you know, e hunana, wisdom comes out of places where you least expect it. And we've got to keep our Māori recognizing and honoring that in people who've had experience of mental illness, who've had service user experience, but he ha te meanui, and he tangata, we saying that, this kaumātua who's 25 years in service has said, he tamariki, he uri, he whakapapa.
You touched on the COVID-19 and
yeah.
the kōrero out there, and I know language boxes us in, you know, like lockdown, isolation, and all this types of stuff. You know, they talk about a new norm, and what's your whakaaro on that fire around the new norm? Is it a new norm for Māori, or have Māori gone through isolation before?
Oh, we've been through isolation lots of times. We've actually been through lockdown lots of times. We've been through locked out lots of times. You know, and we've coped through some really, really horrific epidemics in the past as well. Everybody's talking about the flu epidemic. Nobody actually mentions the meningitis epidemic that happened around that time as well. And so the flu epidemic was 1918 in those places. The flu epidemic was about the 1930s. And the reason that it didn't kill a lot of people as such, but and I'm sure if you think about it in your whānau, how many people do you know who are deaf? How many older Māori do you know? In my whānau, certainly, there's about 8 or 10 of them. And I just think, how come all these people are deaf? Is this a whakapapa thing? And then it was actually, they were the ones who survived the meningitis outbreak. Now, that's another one. So, but they weren't taken away. They just were still part of our community. So our resilience is actually based in, not that we're staunch, not that we're tough, not that we're anything. We're actually super, super people. Our resilience is based in the fact that the underlying philosophies of being Māori, about being aroha ki te tangata, mana ki te tangata, all those sorts of beautiful things to say, are very practical things. Mana ki te tangata can mean give them a cup of tea, or say no bloody cakes today, your diabetes is too high. You know, it can go like that. But those are the very strong principles that ensure our survival. And all of that can survive because I'm linked to that person there, to that person there, to that person. And so those are all the responsibilities, accountabilities of whanaunga, whakawhanaunga and whanaungatanga. Are we going into a new norm? I actually think we've got the opportunity to reclaim our own norm, because being ngā mea Māori is, you know, when you get the bits right, it's just, I mean, that's why I love my mokos, eh? I mean, we all love our mokos. But these kids, all kōrero Māori, all go kaore pēnā tupuna, they're confident, you know, and they're telling me what to do now. But actually, that's because they're secure, because I'm secure, and because my children are secure. And that's because every day we learn something else to celebrate about being Māori. And if we actually really, really think through this, then the mental illness thing and the addiction stuff will, it'll take a while. And I reckon it'll take, say, 10 years, we will reverse everything. Because everybody will be valued part of the whole. And that, so if I get sick of my whanaunga down the road because she's ringing me at 2 o'clock in the morning, I say, ring Michael, he'll talk to you. And, you know, and in fact, I have a whanaunga who, when she's elevated, she rings me up. So I said to her one day, I said, you can't do this to me anymore. She says, oh, I said, no, don't ring me up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Here's the deal. And so we actually worked out with each other, and I love her dearly, around how we can, and when she's becoming unwell, the sorts of behaviors that we will talk to each other about, including when I said that sometimes I need to send you off to go and get your bills sorted. But you do that because I want her to still be part of my whānau. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to look at some of the things, you know, like COVID-19 has impacted us all, as I said at the start of my spiel.
Yeah.
I wanted to know if you want to provide our audience, you know, how ngā tikanga ki te awhi te whānau, ki te awhi te tangata, ngā mea katoa, kei roto i te ao Māori. How do we ensure that we stay strong, knowing that we haven't even got down to the lockdown zero, and we've still got a lot to go in ground zero too, to try and build our whānau up as well. How ngā tikanga ki te tiaki ngā whānau?
Well, yeah, well, you see, we've got to re-language it. So, you know, we've been talking about, I mean, when I'm getting smart to everybody, I say, oh, no, kōrero puta e mau here ana hau. You know, and it's like I'm a prisoner. But actually, when I'm really talking about it to people, me noho tapu koe, as soon as you say me noho tapu koe, that changes the way in which we relate about some of this stuff. Ka noho tapu koe, I te mea hore kau e mohionga ana kei hea te ngārara nei. The one thing that, and we use it a little bit, but the thing about the virus that could have actually really imploded on us as te ao Māori, because, you know, rightly so, we should be fearful about what the impacts are if it spreads within Māoridom, because we're so compromised in our health that should we get an outbreak within our whānau and then in our hapu, it'll be devastating, because we're resilient people, but our health is not really, you know, so myself, and I know I'm vulnerable because of the age thing, but actually I'm more vulnerable because of my health status, because me personally have some compromises in my health, which I keep myself really well, but I'm not going to let any coronavirus bugger that up. But the biggest sort of mawiri that's happened to us in this time is the fear of not knowing, and the fear of not knowing where it is, you know, where this virus is. But let me tell you this. So ka noho tapu. Now, one of the things in the learnings I had with Māori Marsden, he says, so, kei hea tēnei mea te mana atua. Nei koe kōrero ana, mō te mana atua, ka rapu koe hore kau kei runga i te rākau, because it was never atua weren't placed there. It would be too easy to find. Mana atua wasn't placed beneath a rock. Hey, who's doing? Mana atua wasn't placed beneath a rock because it would be discovered. Mana atua wasn't placed within the sea. Mana, and he says, so, where is it? He says, well, mana atua is placed somewhere, I roto i tō tinana, by your heart sometimes and by your liver. And so that you constantly having to search for mana atua i te mea he kore kitea. And if we start talking about like that, tōno ho taku, e kore kitea te mea nei, te ngarara nei, engari me rapu tonu koe ki roto ia koe tō āria, tō karea roto, kia kaua koe noho mataku mo te mea kore koe moho. And so some of the things about how we've been hyped up, if you like, to be very, very fearful about, so if you're over there and you're sneezing, I'll go, whoa, go away. Actually, it's not actually about kaupare atu ia tera, noho tapu mai koe, noho tapu koe, and then think about how do you take care of that? How do you, so washing your hands is one of them. Kawa, mount. That's when we had, what we're going to, everybody is going, Kōrero. And I tell people how many years ago when we did one of the things that the Te Arawa Hogi was, you know, one hand on your nose and something like that, when we were trying to talk about the bird flu. So we talked about it, we talked about kali tangi, all that sort of thing. We know what to do in a crisis. But this has been an opportunity for us not to be so fearful of that which we don't know, because there are, yeah, we already got examples of how we cope with that, but to actually start thinking about how you take care of that noho tapu and me tiaki koe i tō mana atua, tō mana tangata, and wō kare aru. You know, those things that your feelings, your emotions, that sort of thing. Isn't that beautiful? See, from those lessons, from our tupuna, look at that. To go far, find it just there.
Where you been, Fire? Where you been? We should have had you on during lockdown 4. Yeah, this is...
I know. It's the lockdown. You know, I've been doing the whānau for, that's been lovely.
Well,
and this time with my life, of course, so that, you know, to honour, you know, actually going to make they had some really, they did some really good stuff. Yeah, and I want to honour them. Yeah. And sometimes we're so busy and we're doing all this other stuff that, you know, kore koe ngata noho, you know, tēnei mea te noho tapu, is don't expose yourself to other things that could interfere with your taking care of yourself, that take care of your personal, take care of your internal, take care of your soul and all of that sort of thing, because you're so busy going all to the world.
Kōrero tonight's been around whānau ora, and even whaia, hapu ora and iwi ora, they all come to the front. What do you think?
About the iwi ora, just hapu ora, that'll just leave it there. Whānau ora, hapu ora.
Oh, Te Arawa's not doing too bad, but anyway. Anyway, me waiho te kapa ki te taha. Anyway. So I just wanted to talk about some of the opportunities. You touched on the opportunities for Māoridom. You know, we talk about all the negative stuff about COVID-19 and all the impacts on our wairua and our Māori and all that, but there's got to be opportunities out there for Māori.
Yeah, Michael, we have to actually learn to tell our own narrative, our own pūrākau, our own, let's write our own story. You know, we had to take care, and the public health message, I won't ever estimate that or undermine it. But we have to actually tell it in our own story, our own narrative, the reason. So, you know, people need to think about, so the reason why we've been really, really staunch about staying in the bubble or staying in the border control hasn't been about Moe Milne. It's actually been about this whole whānau that I'm a part of and this hapu that I'm a part of. And so we can tell and if we don't have the narratives, let's write new ones. You know, let's actually construct and instruct out of a new story, out of a new narrative. And let's not just be mangere and say, oh, well, that's gone, been there, done that. Actually, we have a responsibility to write a new story as well. And, you know, I'm on a rōpū that I'm one of the toi ngāpuhi. I'm on the board of toi ngāpuhi. And I'm saying to them, I'm with all these creative people and, oh, what a privilege is that. But I'm actually saying to them, come on, you first need to paint our story, or you need to sculpt it, or you need to carve it, or you need to, you know, I'm going like that, because all those stories came from something that happened somewhere. And now we're in a new, you know, in another environment. Why aren't you first actually, they should be representing that. We should be telling it. Somebody else should be writing a new narrative. And that's going to be our oranga.
Gee, I'm in it to that, Fire. I'm in it to that. Yeah. I think we should write our own story. And there are opportunities moving forward. And I do have confidence in Māoridom to move us to. I mean, the current narrative is that we're sad, bad, and mad, and that's the narrative that's out there, and we need to change that. As our tupuna, you talked about our tupuna.
Here's my challenge. Yeah, here's my challenge to you, Michael. Start writing, because you've got a lot of very, very good and special experiences, both from Pikiao and actually before that from your that hunga manaki thing that you did, and from all of that, you've got some stories, and your stories of not only survival but revival are really important. Ewa, is that writing your stories?
Thank you, Whai.
You know, that's how legends are created, you know, by the narratives. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking, Whai, when you were talking about writing stories and then, and I know in my history, I've got plenty of tupuna that put their body on the line, so that we, their mokopuna, can survive. You know, I'm sure there's some heroes in your iwi as well.
Absolutely. We tell that's actually part. So we've been part of the renaissance of te reo and tikanga and all that, and that's what we tell our children. We actually let them know that they come from greatness and they will become great themselves. You know, and that sometimes, you know, your journey, you know, takes detours and all that sort of thing, but know what the constant is, and the constant is you come from tupuna. That's the constant, and your whakapapa is important.
I talked to Sir Mason on Monday, and I had an awesome wānanga with him, and to whai tariana, and also merepeka. And I've been just privy to all this kōrero, and it's great that you guys have had a rest.
Yes, yes. Oh, hey, what it's done though for me is actually I'm having to evaluate what the future is going to be for me. It's been lovely having the time out.
Yeah, I know. So like Matua, he's Matua Mason. He said that I have to start writing too. So that must be a tohu to start writing. Hey, I've enjoyed today. Do you have anything else to say? Do you have anything else to end on?
I in my mind, I had decided not to get political because I was so blooming mad about what they were trying to do with the legislation. So I've been writing and doing that all day, and even challenging our own people to think about where they stand in this, in our that I thought I won't be political and I won't do that.
I really enjoyed tonight, Whai, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming here to speak to us this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I've been to many of your wānanga, and I've had many of your challenges, but I've also had inspiration from you as well, and it's been an utter pleasure to be part of your life, and for you to be part of my whānau. Nō reira me mi ati nei kia koe e te whaia, e te kui, mo ta tainga mai ki tēnei o tātou kiriata i te pō nei, tō pukenga, tō kōrero e pāna ki te oranga o te whānau, me pupui ake te wairua rereke, nā te Pākehā, pūmau ana ki te ao Māori. Nō reira, me ati nei kia koe. To all of you that have watched tonight, I know we've talked about some positive stuff, but we also talked about some tough issues around Māori suicide. And if you have any issues that you'd like to discuss with a trained counsellor, please ring 1737. Nō reira, tēnei ake te mihi kia koutou. Tēnei ake te mihi kia koe, Whai. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.